Thank you for tuning into another video from JRM Recaps. Today we will be discussing the 2004 film, Mean Creek. Hope you enjoy. Spoilers ahead. The film opens at a middle school in a small Oregon town. 14-year-old George Tooney sets up a video camera next to his school basketball court to record him shooting free throws. While he is shooting, a shy student, Sam Merrick, grabs the video camera to take a closer look at it. George sees this and is suddenly defensive and extremely angry. He moves towards Sam, hits him, and continues to beat him up. Later, while at home, Sam tells his protective brother, Rocky, what had happened. He also tells his newly acquired girlfriend, Millie, who urges Sam to take the high road and not retaliate in any way. Sam's older brother, Rocky, lets his friends, Clyde and Marty, know about Sam getting beat up by George. They are already familiar with George's reputation as a bully. He recently ridiculed Clyde for having two gay fathers. While they all agree that they need to stand up for Sam, they each have different approaches. Clyde, who is sensitive and somewhat of an outcast himself within the group, is more passive and sympathetic. Marty, who has issues with trauma and anger stemming from his dad's suicide, his mom's indifference attitude, and his older brother's abuse, has a more devious form of revenge. At last, they devise a plan for Sam to invite George out to a fake birthday party for Sam, which George enthusiastically accepts. They plan to drive to a nearby creek where they will spend the afternoon on a boat in a creek, and in an orchestrated game of truth or dare, get George to take off his clothes and jump into the lake. Then leave him stranded to find a ride home on his own while completely naked, as payback for beating up Sam. When the group, consisting of Sam, Rocky, Marty, Clyde and Millie show up at George's home, he is documenting in his video journal for the day. At this point, Millie is still completely unaware of the true plan. George leaves without letting his mom know where he will be and gets into the car with all of them. As they are riding in the car, George hands Sam a birthday present he bought for him. Sam opens the present and uncovers a large, expensive water gun. Marty pulls the car over into a convenience store to buy more cigarettes and runs into his obnoxious older brother and his friend, who constantly torment Marty. All throughout the drive it becomes pretty obvious that George, while irritating and at times harsh, is really just desperate to fit in and resorts to hostility as a cover-up. He also tells the group that he has a learning disability, which he desires to be accepted for. George describes his mind as constantly thinking about everything at once, which he acknowledges is against the norm. While walking through the woods to the boat, Millie pretends to be stung by a bee to get a moment alone with Sam. The group continues on without them, at which point Millie starts pressing Sam until he reveals the true plans for the afternoon. Millie is sympathetic to George and asks that Sam call off the plan or she will not get on the boat with them. As they set off in the boat, George tries to warm up to the group even more, however his attempts still come off as a bit awkward. They decide to dock the boat for a short break, during which Sam urges Rocky to call off the plan. He is receptive and then proceeds to tell Clyde, who also agrees. At the point when Rocky tells Marty about the change in plans, he lashes out and only hesitantly agrees. Afterward, back on the boat, the game of truth or dare begins. When it comes to Marty's turn, he picks dare, and he is then dared to show his famous genitals. Marty agrees, and then standing up on the boat pulls his pants down for everyone to see. They all laugh, and as George begins to have more fun, he becomes more aggressive in his comments and gradually wears out Marty. After making an innocent comment about fathers, which he quickly attempts to take back, Marty starts to tear into George verbally and reveals the group's plan to him. Feeling deceived and realizing it isn't even Sam's birthday, George gets extremely angry and goes on a verbal tirade against every single person on the boat, especially Marty and Clyde. When he starts to repeatedly insult Marty about his dad's suicide, a fight erupts. Rocky, intervening between Marty and George, accidentally pushes George, causing him to fall off the boat into the water. At first, they all watch George, struggling to stay afloat and yelling for help. None of them dive in right away to help George, since they don't know that he can't swim. George struggles for quite a while until he is knocked on the head, presumably by his camera, causing him to bleed, and he then goes under the water. Rocky dives into the water in an attempt to save him, but at first can't find him. He eventually finds him washed up onto the bank of the lake. Once the group catches up, Millie attempts to revive him with CPR, but the effort is to no avail because George is already dead. Traumatized and uncertain of what to do, Marty reasons that the only option is to bury the body and keep the entire thing a secret. While Rocky and Millie suggest going to the police and explaining that it was an accident, Marty dismisses the idea, reminding them that the video camera, which has been left somewhere in the creek, contains Marty's taped confession of the original plan. Marty also explains to the group that they would all be put away in prison for murder. Reluctantly, they decide to bury George's body and hitch a ride back to where Marty left the car. Marty tells his older brother what happened, and his brother agrees to not turn him over to the police. Everyone in the group apart from Marty, filled with guilt, meet up at Sam and Rocky's house and decide they should go to the police and be honest about what happened. At the point when Marty arrives, he feels angry that they have settled on the decision without him and refuses to be part of the confession. He flees in a car with his brother's gun, holding up a gas station on the way. The rest of the group goes to George's house to inform his mom regarding the news. The scene then cuts to a police station, where a detective is questioning Sam on what occurred, specifically the altercation on the boat. Another officer shows up and tells the detective he has something he should see. The police have recovered George's video camera and they proceed to watch the footage. It is George's video journal that shows them what he was doing right before he left for Sam's fake birthday party that day. In the video, he discusses his goals for popularity and fame, and his desire to be understood for the way in which he sees the world. George's body is dug up as his mom, Sam, and the police watch. Thank you for watching our recap. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe for future videos. Also, try some of our other videos displayed on screen.